And hello, my fellow nerds out there. This is Uncle Richie, and welcome back once again to Rectifier in Bloom. A bit of an update. I had to once again re-download the game because Percy's route just got added to the game. I didn't know that his was coming next. But yeah, Percy's route was just added to the game, and we're gonna be finishing Glyph's route in this episode. Those are pretty much the only updates that I wanted to say. Anyways, let's just get right into it. Glyph's route. It wasn't long after Glyph asked that question had you two found yourselves on the road again. It was only meant to be a day's trip, but you'd both returned to your camp in the outskirts of Solaris. The others were probably prepared to move from this place, but you and Glyph weren't going to leave until justice was properly served. As you both walked, Glyph ate those pies, one right after the other, no doubt finding some sort of comfort in it. I snagged an extra pie just for you. He hands it to you, and despite yourself, you eat it too. Despite it being cold, mildly dirty, and it tastes wonderful. The pies don't last long, and all that's left is the rhythm of your combined footsteps and the stars overhead. Hopefully, we can see my friends soon. Maybe not tomorrow, but one day. You can meet them. Perhaps we can make an entire week out of it. Perhaps I could bake pies this time, all of us. You nod, smiling softly. Reed and his mate Storm, they love to cook together. I've always wanted that, to make food with my mate, feeding each other, tossing flour, drinking mead. Sounds wonderful. Somehow you find yourself asking something you wouldn't have been brave enough to do before. In these fantasies, when you think of your mate, what are they like? His eyebrows raise. I guess if I had to describe them, they'd be. Same about his description sounds familiar. It's like I said before. I imagine I'll just know what kind of person my mate is. I'll learn to love every part that makes them them. His eyes find their way back to the open sky. And last time you saw these many stars, you were living among them. Though finding someone to share the rest of my life with is important. The more I more than anything, I more than anything want to ease the tension between humans and my kind. I believe I can make a difference. I can forge the bonds between humans and Anaterans. It won't be easy, but it's a necessary next step. I thought maybe it would be as simple as showing them that I can talk, I have dreams, fears. Once they realized that I bled like they do, they'd accept me and what I stand for. But that was far too simple, wasn't it? It should be that simple. I wish they could see you how I do. Richie, I got one last surprise for you. You do? Just one moment. It's in my pouch. This is a honeysuckle. You can pull from the stem. And a sweet sap is inside. Though it's also quite pretty. If you'd rather just keep it as a souvenir than a snack, I'd understand. I've already eaten a couple. I got some currants as well. Do you think they'd be good in a pie? You accept the honeysuckle as Glyph continues to mull over the food. As you continue to admire its red-orange hue, Glyph's hand is incredibly close to your face. He positions one of the uneaten honeysuckles in your hair, tucked above your ear. Glyph, it's just as I thought. It suits you. You take that as an opportunity in return to favor. Glyph smiles widely. Do I look cute? You nod. Of course he does. What we're doing, or rather what I'm doing, is religious sacrilege. Flowers are for the angels, after all, and those that worship them. You don't worship me? You feign surprise. Anaterans witness all that make up all that make up the world. You're paving your way into our world. As you pave your way into mine. I wouldn't say I worship you, but this is an eternal way of initiating new members into the pack. You're forever part of my pack. The sentiment surprises you, and you weren't aware that part of esoteric culture. It hurts even more to have missed out on experiencing its customs today. Such a beautiful tradition, in danger of total erasure. The world doesn't deserve Antareans. They don't deserve your kindness, Glyph. As you expected, he shakes it off. Everyone is deserving of kindness, but especially you. The air continued to thicken like it had whenever you got lost in Glyph's gaze. None of you moved, nothing came of it, but you were aware that this wasn't a common practice amongst friends. Perhaps you could redefine the term. You and Glyph could be friends who kissed, as that's the only thing you wanted in that moment. No later had that thought cross your mind, had a shooting star blinked across the sky. You closed your eyes and made a wish. You made it 1,000 times your heart. You made it 1,000 times in your heart that the world would improve, that you could improve, that you could improve it, and that you'd have Glyph by your side the entire way. Right, and that's the end of Glyph's route. So, yeah. So, anyways, 4 routes done, 3 routes to go. Right, so we got 2 more to go through. We got Wren and Percy, and I think as far as I know, I've been doing these in their release order. So Greer, who was that to Greer again? I forgot. Greer, Stills, Layor, Glyph. So next is gonna be Wren, and then we'll do Percy. I'll leave Percy for like second to last, I guess. So Wren's next. Battle-hardened soldier, Wren wants nothing more than to keep his people safe. Or at least, that's what he says. And yet, the closer you get, the more he seems to want. You've got him wrapped around your little finger, and even if he pretends otherwise. En route, safety concerns. It's a beautiful day. The sun shines brightly in the sky without a single cloud to conceal it. It's warm. You wipe a bead of sweat from your cheeks. Mortal forms get so sweaty. Too sweaty. It's a little gross. When Justice, the protagonist from your favorite series of novels, is described as having a sheen of sweat on their brow, you'd imagine it as roughish, roguish, dashing even. The reality is quite a bit stickier. You're going to need a long, long bath after this. The freezing cold river nearby will never have to suffice, however. At least you aren't the only one sticky and suffering. Wren has corralled the entire camp into an impromptu trading session. Well, almost the entire camp. Percy sits stubbornly in the shade, book resting on his knees, watching the cold indifference. With cold indifference. The training started just after breakfast, and Wren shows no sign of slowing down. He makes for a good mentor, going from person to person, giving them individual guidance. But you can't help but think he'd be a better mentor if he was a little less... Glyph, for the last time, racing does not count as training. You're here to improve, not show off. Focus on one of your many weaknesses, not your strengths. Abrasive. Wren seems a bit high-strung today, correcting and guiding people with perhaps a bit more force than necessary. Layor, must you always slack off? You can't half-ass this like you do your music. It's life and death. Ouch, nasty brute. Go sit quietly in the corner looking pretty again. I was having a much better time with that. This isn't a game, Layor. If you can't be arsed to focus, then go sit with Percy and let the adults train in peace. You say that like spending time with our darling Percy is a punishment. In Wren's serious and stormy expression, he certainly thinks it is. Ugh, fine. Show me how to do that little trick again, pretty please. Can't quite get the speed right. The harshness in his words is where his abrasiveness ends. He patiently walks Layor through some sort of grappling trick. He gently positioning the bard's body against his own. From Lyra's self-satisfied smirk, you don't think he actually needs to be shown this particular trick again, but Wren looks happy enough to try and teach it all to him at the same time. Everyone seems hard at work, training their bodies and honing their skills. You feel a spark of determination push yourself also. You decide to try. Oh, jeez, that music is louder than I thought it would be. I guess weightlifting. I mean, I'm more of a stretcher, but weightlifting is fine. Something about simple, representative nature of lifting weights appeals to you. Training your body while leaving your mind free to wander seems smart. You consider other possibilities also. You could lift weights and walk to exercise two parts of your body at once, or have one hand spare lift and weight simultaneously. You aren't sure about the logistics of your plan, but it's a fun thing to ponder as you eye the selection of makeshift weights ready in the range. Most of them are just various parts of your party's equipment arranged into easy-to-hold stacks. Rustic, but it'll do. Stills is stood next to a pile with a heavy chest plate in his arms, too busy huffing and puffing to do much more than nod as you approach. Hello, Stills. What are you working on? Upper body strength. I see. Is it going well? He doesn't respond, closing his eyes to breathe in and out very slowly. You assume that Stills' technique is good enough to emulate, so you pick up a heavy-looking piece of armor and stand beside him. He isn't moving his arms very much, and you follow suit, effectively locking your arms into place with the armor a few inches away from your chest. This is heavy. Quite. Silence drags and your arms begin to burn. This is an unpleasant activity, and a bit dull. Perhaps if we did this in silence, it would be meditative. You can take a hint, even if the wording makes you smile against your better judgment. Time passes quicker than you realize, too wrapped up in your activity of choice to notice a clock passing by you, with the time slipping away. In fact, it's not until unfamiliar pain shoots up your leg that you recall a few key facts of your planned excursion today. You're supposed to be taking it easy. You were supposed to keep an eye on the time and take frequent breaks. If you had taken the advice of some of your companions, you shouldn't have been training at all. Percy had been very, very vocal part of that minority. You try to steal your expression to a calm neutralness. The last thing you want is to be made to sit on the sidelines. It isn't that Percy is always bad company, but not being allowed to join in with the group activity because of a silly little injury stinks. They're perfectly capable of a little exercise, wound and all. But, right, the injury, it's just a gash on your leg, already sanitized and bandaged. You'd forget it was there if it wasn't for the occasional pang of pain that shoots up when you put too much pressure on your leg. From the rapidly approaching footsteps, you chance to guess that someone has it forgotten, however. Are you alright? I'm fine, just a little sore. I told Wren it was an awful idea to force you to train while you're in this condition. It's inhumane of that monster. He hasn't forced me to do anything, Percy. I feel worse just sitting around and feeling sorry for myself. You chose not to mention the fact that you aren't human, so whatever humane or inhumane treatment is means very little to you. You don't think it would go over well. All his fretting has drawn the attention of the rest of your companions. The training now all but forgotten. Is your wound flaring up, darling? There's no shame in taking a rest if you need it. Better to rest now than have to take a week off because you pushed yourself. Gives the rest of us an excuse to start slacking off too. There's no fun when you're hurting. Maybe we can all take a break. I certainly wouldn't complain about the rest. I can imagine your injury is also, if it's tender, I'm sure we can apply something to it. I know your body can take more than most, but you should still take care of it, you know? They're practically crowding around you. All served. They have a point, if a slightly redundant one. Yes, sitting around with your feet up would likely heal your wound all faster. But you don't think they factored in how utterly bored you would be, and the things you'd be willing to do to alleviate that boredom. There was a momentary twinge of pain, nothing more. I feel in perfect health. Feelings can often be deceiving, especially when it comes to injuries. Perhaps what you were feeling is merely adrenaline. I've hardly done anything exciting enough to elicit an adrenaline response. At times, simply being injured is enough. The mortal body is fascinating, is it not? Indeed. Less so when it's trying to hinder you from doing what you want, I find. You don't honestly want to spend your time training under that buffoon, do you? There are a myriad of better things you could be doing with your time. Such as spending your precious time with him, I would imagine. Among other things, yes. Well, if you wish to spend time together, I'm sure Wren can set up some group exercises. Percy wrinkles his nose in disgust and you smile at yourself. Or you can continue watching if you prefer. The further away I am from that brute, the better. But I'll continue to keep an eye on you, Richie. For your safety, of course. For all his complaining, he still likes watching you get all hot and sweaty. Typical. Excuse me? Come and find me after training if your leg still hurts. I'll have a look at it. If nothing else, it wouldn't hurt to clean and redress it. Yep, I will. Thank you, Stills. Why have we all stopped? I don't recall calling for a break. If you can't recognize when one of your own students is hurting, you're a worse leader than I thought. Wren's eyes flicks to yours immediately. His eyebrows furrow with an emotion you can't name. Are you alright? This is starting to get old. I'm fine. Everyone's already checked me over. I'll just pick something a little less intense this time. That would be wise. I'll show you a routine that only targets the upper body. Please do not hesitate if you need to take breaks, however. Different rules for the rest of us. The rest of you are not healing an injury. I don't bother listening to whining. If you need a break, then take one. Don't make it my problem. How sweet. You can't possibly force them to return to their ghastly regime, barbarian. What they need is rest. I would not pretend to know their body better than they do. If what they want is to rest, then they are free to. If they would like to continue to train, then I will help them. There's no forcing happening here. I'm not forcing you to take part, am I? I'd like to see you try. I wouldn't bother. My morning was far more pleasant without your company. Find pushing a wounded Nephilim past their limits pleasant, do you? I have not asked anyone to do more than they are physically able. And yet they are still hurting. Are you proud to be a bystander of their suffering? Or did you simply not care enough to notice? I am trying to ensure that they don't get hurt again. What have you done, Percy, to ensure their safety? To help them? Or do you hope that if you complain loudly enough, they'll mistake your pity for something worthy of them? The best thing you could do is to ensure their safety is to ensure they never see you again, you monster. Wren's face grows dark. Someone in the small crowd around you could whistle slowly, cutting through the thick tension like a knife. Wren sighs, taking a step back and running a hand over his face. Let's take a water break. 10 minutes, then we reconvene. Is 10 minutes all you can spare out of your tremendously busy schedule? If it'll stop your whining, we'll make it 15. You are impossible. Percy throws his hands up in the air and walks off in a huff. Is it too late to say that I don't like Percy that much? I honestly, personally do not like Percy as much as anyone else probably would. Finally, I'll refill everyone's water. Pass me your flasks. Wren scoops everyone's flask into his arms without another word. He stalks off to the nearest stream, and awkward silence settles over the group. How long do you think it will take for them to kiss and make up? We'll all be long, long dead before that happens. I hope so. That would be an unpleasant to watch. Speak for yourself, double eye candy. I'd pay you good money to see that. In your dreams, I'd pay to watch them have a real fight. One of these days, Wren's gonna have enough shit and hit him, and I personally cannot wait. I hope not. You don't think they really hurt each other, do you? I don't think it. I know it. Well, each other is a bit rich. It'd be Wren kicking Percy's ass easily. You don't think there's any chance they might get along? Some people just don't click, darling. That doesn't make them bad people. Just different. Why are you glancing at me, Lyor? No reason. It's worse than them just not clicking, Lyor. Did you hear some things they said to each other? Percy is, well, you know how he is. Stuck up, bossy, patronizing, delusional. Him, concerned. He gets concerned about our actions and motivations, especially when Richie is involved. Only when they're involved, more like. He couldn't give a rat's ass about the rest of us. That's not true. Percy cares about some of us. Like Emil. Who is conveniently also a Nephilim. Surprise, surprise. Got me there. You can't deny that Percy tends to prioritize you over the rest of your group mates. It makes you feel confused. I understand that he has some obvious differences to the rest of you, but I don't understand why exactly he treats me so differently. I think he should be the same as anyone else, if not less in my experience. I doubt any of us can explain what exactly goes on in his mind and heart, but clearly you have a unique place in both. You're special to him, simply put. You're his priority above all else. Yes, but why? Lyor shrugs. This answer is completely unsatisfactory, and you both know it. You have to ask yourself, Angel. There's a number of reasons, some diabolical blend of desire and reverence, one could assume. You sigh and Lyor snickers. I like to think he means well, but only he can know why he does it, and only you can decide how you feel about it. The heart is tricky that way, isn't it? But it's not like Wren makes it any easier. He's been moody all day. He's not moody, he's mopey, sulky, lumpy, practical. I was going to say practical. Wren is a practical man. You can be practical and moody. Those aren't mutually exclusive. You wouldn't say he's been extra pushy today, Stills, grumbling, complaining his way through a hard-ass training routine, making extra snide comments about our capabilities, perhaps. Well, he has been a little shortly recently. Aha, you admit it. He's a prick. Queer, be nice. I stand by it. He's not a prick. He has his reasons, as does Percy, I assume. Prick reasons. Yes, very big of you, Greer. What do you mean he has his reasons, Stills? I figured he was just in a bad mood. His poor temperament is undoubtedly part of it, but Wren is... he cares. Quite a lot. He worries. He has an interesting way of showing it. That I won't deny, but underneath his sulking, as you put it, is fear. Fear? You're joking. I'm not. He is more than he portrays himself as. This I know for certain. Wren is a man of many layers. This is much we agree on, Frosty. Do not say like an onion, Greer. I can see you thinking it. He's not an ogre, guys. You said it, not me. Wren seems tough on the outside, but he's got a soft, squishy middle, just like everyone else. He's a sweetie pie. He just doesn't like showing it. I wouldn't go that far, but your point has some merit. Everyone seems to have their own probably be easier to ask Wren directly, but you don't know if he'll be agreed to get a straight answer. Might as well try to get some insight of what you can ask. But who to ask? Greer, Stills, Leor. I'd probably ask Stills. He seems to be the wisest in the situation. Everyone splits off to their own conversation, most of it dubious gossip. But one person in the group has history with Wren. If you want an informed opinion, he's the person to ask. Stills, could you elaborate on what you said about Wren? I have said much about Wren. These last few minutes, you may need to be more specific. About him being afraid. Of course. He is at his core a soldier, and has been for a very long time. Soldiers are supposed to protect, to save those that need saving, and hurt those who need hurting. To live as both a sword and the shield is, well, it's a lot of pressure. Above all else, I believe Wren wants to keep the people he cares about, and the people he feels responsible for safe. But he can't prevent us from seeing combat entirely, or take on all of our foes by himself. So he's trying to make us stronger, training us so we can better protect ourselves. I believe so. It's not much of a coincidence that he corrals us all to the morning of group training after the last fight, is it? No, I suppose not. I do wish he went a little easier on us, though. I'll be feeling these aches for days. You're pulled from the alluring lull of gossip by a snap of a twig, the agitated clearing of someone's throat. This doesn't appear to be adequate resting. None of you are sat down. We didn't know sitting was mandatory, big guy. Wren only huffs, handing out a flask of water one by one. You're a bit surprised he managed to carry them all back here. You smile attentively at him as you take your flask, trying to keep the mood light, feeling no desire for response. At least the water is crisp and clean, a welcome treat. You hadn't realized quite how thirsty you were. Drink up. We'll resume training in a few minutes. There are about 2 hours left of activities planned. Absolutely not. Excuse me? There's no way you're seriously expecting us to work out for another 2 hours. Did you hit your head in the last scrap or something? Wren goes completely still, his face twisting up like a dark storm cloud. Still steps forward, his hands raised, like offering a peace. It isn't wise to overexert ourselves, Wren. We can resume training another day. Then we'll all be better rested. Wren's face falls. He takes a long, slow breath, shutting his eyes. If that is what you believe is best, Stills. You don't even realize what you're planning until the words leave your mouth. I'm not tired. Why did I say that? You aren't? I'm happy to continue training. It'll be useful. Why did I say that? I see. Does anyone else wish to continue? The resounding silence loud enough to make you wince. At the corner of your eye, you'd think you see Glyph's hand raising in the air, but Leor gently grabs him by the wrist, pinning his hand to his side and shaking his head. Very well. It'll be just 2 of us. Is that alright with you, Richie? You nodded, the relief in his posture noticeable. Your muscles ache as the thought of more training, but this might be your best chance to talk about, well, anything. Alright, you two, get lost. I'm off to make sure Percy doesn't realize you two are sneaking off for special training all by yourselves. That's hardly necessary. I fear he is right. I'll accompany you, Leor, to assist. Oh, a double date with Frosty. I didn't see this coming. Please stop talking. Leor flounces off to go find Percy. The other is not far behind him. You doubt all that will be needed to subdue Percy, but he isn't that strong. Well, maybe he'd be stronger if he'd agree to train with Wren like the rest of you. No fault but his own. Most of the activities I have planned from this point onwards involve the entire group. Perhaps I should have added more water breaks. You planned out the whole day in advance? Of course. That's cute. It's not cute, it's sensible. Sure. Ugh. As I was saying, the rest of my planned regimen has little use for the two of us. But it does mean we can focus on specific skill set or body part if you wish. Such as mobility, endurance, your fighting capabilities, upper body strength, list goes on. His eyes flicker to your leg and he ever so slightly tenses. But perhaps we should avoid anything that focuses on the lower body and the legs. You fight the urge to roll your eyes. These men in there fretting. But some of the opinions did sound appealing. You decide on sparring, endurance, mobility. Mobility is probably more focused on the legs. Honestly, when it comes to, if I had to pick something when it comes to combat, for me it'd probably be endurance. Because I can last a pretty long time. Because I always work on my endurance whenever it comes to working out. Because like, it just feels a bit better. Like sure, I might not have a lot of energy, but I can last a bit longer at least. Figure out ways to conserve it. But anyways, I think we have to choose. Oh wait, we can't save. Damn it. Okay, well, guess we'll choose endurance, and then we'll just save here. So yeah, I'll go ahead and save here for now, and leave this episode here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like, comment what you think, share this video with your friends, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a single notification. I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason.